on the brain is the same as the one produced by other drugs, like the ones that cause sedation and even anesthesia. In my culture, it is known that the brain does not produce consciousness as the result of a complicated chemical-electric internal dance, as so many materialistic doctors and researchers state it does on Earth. The brain is only a translator. Each cell acts as a receptor for a signal which resides on the side of the ether, in the spirit world, a signal with a unique frequency which is coming from the individual's soul. Each cell has a structure which acts like an antenna, and that structure is the DNA strand, which is also the blueprint of that cell and of the entire live creature it is part of. And even though each and every cell in a body is connected to the signal of the soul, the ones that act more strongly or directly, as neurons, are the ones that bring higher functions of the soul's consciousness into the material world. It is quite accurate to see all neurons, the entire nervous system but especially the brain, as a complex antenna mechanism that follows or mimics what is happening in the spirit side, and translates it into the material world, or the world of the living. To successfully and effectively mimic in the material side all the ideas, emotions, and complex thought patterns which are in the spirit side, each cell and each neuron must be carefully tuned with the unique frequency of the soul with which it is connected to, and with the utmost exactitude. Looking at things from a more expanded point of view, this is what I see. Alcohol disrupts the frequency of each cell. It lowers its frequency, making them become less of a match with the higher frequency of the soul. When alcohol reaches a cell, it disrupts its internal biochemical mechanisms, and the cells which are most vulnerable to this are the neurons due to the extreme precision they must have to connect with the signal from the ether, from the spirit side. Alcohol detunes the cells from the soul signal they are receiving. The higher a spiritual function is, the higher its frequency will be. This means that the higher functions of the brain, those associated with reasoning, will be affected by alcohol first. Higher frequency functions are the first to go when a person consumes alcohol, and these negative effects start well before reaching the reason and logic frontal cortex brain functions, which are easy to see and notice when they are deteriorated, as the first affected brain centers are those associated with the highest frequency signals, and those are abilities like precognition, intuition, telepathy and so on, all commonly associated with the third eye and the pineal gland, which is not the only spiritual connection center of the brain. Each neuron, each cell of the body has its own connection to soul and source. When a person consumes alcohol, and progressively as he or she is drinking more and more of it, the first functions to go are spiritual abilities, including extrasensory, then reason and logic, then motor functions, and finally automatic body functions, where if pushed even more, can result in death by alcohol intoxication. Many people say that they drink some alcohol because it takes the edge off, as they say, making social interaction more enjoyable. This is because they are turning off higher brain functions, inhibiting them from being able to be activated, so people become less self-conscious, disinhibited and blabby, while still retaining abilities that have not been affected yet, such as frontal cortex logic centers. That's why people can still be good at mathematics while having drunk some alcohol, but if they continue to drink, those functions will go as well. They may be disinhibited and blabby, feeling like they are saying great, wonderful things, because they lack the higher functions to censor and notice that what they are saying is nothing more than a drunkard's silly speech. As I said above, alcohol changes and disrupts the fine frequency tuning of each cell, especially neurons, which are needed to bring the person's soul into the physical material world. This means that cells and neurons change their frequency to a lower one. With alcohol consumption, it never changes to a higher one, making them incompatible with the signals from the soul. A soul is a complicated energy system in the ethers on the spirit side. It is not only one simple signal, it is the complicated interaction and energy flow dynamics between several interconnected signals in the ethers, all with slightly different frequencies and vibration, unique to each one's functions and roles. This change in the frequency of the neurons makes them less compatible with higher signals, and makes them more compatible with lower ones. This means that when drinking alcohol, and directly proportionally to the amount drank, and how each specific body reacts to it, the cells become less responsive, with less connectivity with the individual's soul, and more compatible with lower astral entities, which operate and exist at much lower existential vibrations.